Here we're going to have a look at creating some simple reflection using specific materials, mainly the ray trace material used for this. So let's crack on and set up a little environment where we can add some reflection. So first thing we're going to create will be our plane, so we've got our ground layer. Now I'm going to create a teapot because it's got some nice curved surfaces for us to see the reflection on. Let's maximise that viewport, bring the teapot into the middle and open up our material editor. I think for the ground we'll have this reflective, and we need to first of all give it a colour. Let's go with a sort of a mauvey colour, quite garish, but there you go. We'll add that one, and I'm going to scroll down, and in the maps section where we see reflection, I'm going to click on the none, make sure new is selected, and we'll scroll right down until we see ray trace. I'm going to double click on that. Now at the moment, if we look in our material editor, you double click on the map and you can open it up and get a better view. We can't really tell how reflective this material is just yet, but you have this checkered background. So if we click on that button, you get a checkered background come up, and the object in the middle, you can see how reflective it is. So back up to the parent and we can reduce our reflection. You can see how this is reduced in our material. So let's add that to our plane, give it a quick render. Then we can see our teapots nicely reflected. So let's have our teapot reflected as well. I'm going to make a bright yellow teapot, as they are, exactly the same. We'll go to maps, go to reflection, scroll down, select ray trace, add this to our teapot. Remember, go up to the parent. We don't really want it to be 100% because if we have it 100% it's quite reflective. We'll give it a try just so that you can see the effect. Very, very reflective. Reduce this down, give another render. You can see we've got some nice reflections going on there. Generally reflective surfaces aren't perfect, so should we add a little bump map to our sort of ground plane? So on none, for the bump I'm going to select noise, get a grayscale bump map, and we'll tile this 5 by 5 by 5. Let's have a look and see how that looks. So we can see here we've got our bump map applied, another render, and you can see this is given sort of a ripple to the reflection. We'll do the same to the teapot. We'll go with the dent. We'll just leave it at 1. I'm going to reduce the bump down slightly for this, halfway roughly, and you can see the reflection appearing. So it's quite easy to set up. Last effect, we'll make some text and we'll make it quite see-through. So there's our text. Once we'll type my name, reduce the size slightly and add an extrude modifier. There we go. Let's go back down the text, reduce the steps down to try and speed this up a little bit, because otherwise it will slow down the render a little bit. Let's bring the markers there. Let's have a quick render so we can see it. You can see there is a reflection going on. File text. I'm going to make this one bright green. Apply this to our text. Come down to the maps, reflection, ray trace. I'm going to turn off some of these effects because they can speed up slightly for the actual rendering. Let's reduce the opacity and make this object two-sided. Now you'll notice the green hasn't appeared, and this is because when I did the maps I forgot to reduce the amount of ray trace. So background on, double click, so you can see how reflective this is. Don't want it all the way. Another render, there's our green showing up. For the dent, just going to tone that down slightly, so it's very subtle. Just a little bit of dent now, and you can just make out the name being reflected. Let's try changing the pink to a little bit more of a lighter shade. Yeah. So there's a quick introduction to reflection, and there are many more options, but again this tutorial is just to start you off on your way. Enjoy.